So, hello again. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have such a nice time. If you're a man, well, maybe leave. Just kidding, we love you. Where
Everything
are your
we
feet?
do is for you.
Let me rub them. You had a long day at work. I don't care that you just tracked mud into the house. It's totally fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. All right, yeah, no, I look crazy. It's fine, whatever. So today in Kat's History Corner, we're talking about the history of the oppression of women. So super fun topic, really happy and wonderful,
And
just
how?
full of what is it, sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Oh, yes.
Is what we're talking about today. Except that is a euphemism for it's not. We're not doing that. It's bad time, horrible. Why? So basically,
I didn't do it.
today, I don't know. Somebody did. And apparently, according to all the things I'm going to tell you, apparently we think no one's to blame. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Society.
So specifically, we're talking about the why and the how of the oppression of women. So it's like we have the history. In some context, we know women have been oppressed. Yes? We all agree?
Yeah.
Survey says yes. So we're going to get a little bit of the how. We're going to talk about why, though. Like, what justifies it into their minds, people who feel this way. And then also, we're going to do the whole, you've been debunked thing where you're
Yes.
you said this, you're super biased, that was wrong.
That's what we do.
Yeah, so before I'm going to get into, all of it, it's going to be a lot. Please stay with me. I have to give you 3 definitions. Are we ready?
Yes. Do I
One.
need to write this down? I cannot retain information. I'm a lady.
Yes. Or can you write?
Unless it's recipes.
Can you write in cursive?
That's all I can do.
Okay, good. So, historiography. I've talked about this many times before. It is the study of historical writing. So, it's the why is history written this way? What influenced it to be written this way? The ideals, thoughts, perspectives displayed in the writing, and most importantly, the source of the writing, is it reliable? Is the source that we're reading someone that we can trust? Is the perspective are we looking for information? Are we going in with bias or no? So it's the media analysis goggles of history, essentially. So the second definition is traditionalist. The dictionary defines it as somebody who's very traditional in their ideas, arguments, all these things. They don't want anything to change, and it's usually based in the past or religious view. It's based on whatever their ideals are. They don't want to change them. So they're not seeking information to change them. A euphemism, basically, for people who oppress people because they think it was better before.
Yeah.
Make America great again.
Yeah.
I
I also have a joke in my
excellent.
section
I'm so
as well.
excited. Sexual asymmetry is our third definition. It is defined as the assignment of different tasks and roles to men and women based on sex within a culture. So it's you're a woman, you do this task for your society. You're a man, you do this task for your society. And
Gender is a social construct.
yes, but that's not how, unfortunately, many people see the world. So, we have our definitions. We're ready to go.
I'm ready.
The questions that were asked. How does this tie into the oppression of women? How do these definitions do that? Let's start with historiography. A lot of this is pulled from The Creation of the Patriarchy by Gerda Lerner. And I'm not going to say every time I quote her directly.
Okay.
So, because it's a lot of times. And I just want credit to be due. So go read the book. It's good.
You can say, Gerda said this.
I will do my best.
To differentiate between your words and hers.
But they mesh. We say the same things, but say not at the same time. So, what is the history of the oppression of women? Historical influences support or refute the idea that women need to be oppressed. What does that? Why do people feel that all we're good for is making babies, staying home, not doing stuff out in the world with jobs and stuff? And what evidence is used to further that ideology? Is it scientific? Is it fact? Is it presented with bias? The answer is yes. In terms of it being presented with bias. And there are 2 things we see most commonly used as justification for the oppression of women: religion and science.
Yep.
It's funny because usually those things are used against each other on opposite ends, but they match. They unite as
to
one.
oppress women.
That sounds right. Exactly. That's exactly what happens. In a lot of cultures, but specifically I'm talking mostly about American and Western culture, because that is the lens with which I live.
Yeah.
So
that's what we have a right to talk about.
Yes. Nothing about us without us. So, the history of Western society is largely driven by Darwinism and Christianity. Both have been used as validation for systemic methods of oppression for many groups, but specifically women in this case, creating an understanding of a lesser and validating the mistreatment of that lesser for religious or scientific grounds. So you're making it seem like there is a logical, we're okay because God said, or we're okay because science said, when it's like, it's not science. We don't know if God's real. Also, I don't think God would want that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like whispering, like, why?
Yes. Yes.
So when viewing the history of humankind, traditionalists hold to the idea that women subordination is a universal God-given natural fact. Like, it just, there's without question.
Yep.
It has been stated, that is the law. We cannot question it. And to question it would be going against the law of God. Or
many, many religions, even outside of Christianity.
Yeah. It's the whole time. So they inherently assume that if men and women are designated certain roles, that there's differences, or there's any differences between men and women, that the reasoning for that is because one group is lesser. And the argument for them is that women are lesser. And I'll give you the little rundown of all the things that they love to say. So, as for any information we take in, we should not just read it and be like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's everything. Totally cool. We should question everything that we're presented. We say that with everything we watch. You should be wearing your media analysis classes. Mm-hmm. You should be going into things intelligently, like looking at it and trying to like decipher what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Where traditionalists generally do not go into research and like studying of history with that mindset. Mm-hmm. They're going in, I need something to prove that what I think is right.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to take out of this. That's all I'm going to read. So what I'm arguing is that there's a lot of bias. And also, I feel very strongly that the usage of universals ever is a big red flag. You cannot generalize an entire thing. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like you're guaranteeing yourself to be contradicted, have an exception, and it basically so quickly can invalidate your entire argument.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we question this. It's not universal because one, it's not. But, you know, anyone who's critical of patriarchal explanations have to ask if this is something that people feel is a universal truth. When did that start? How, when, and why did female subordination begin to, like, be said as a thing of history? Mm-hmm. When did it come into existence? And is it actually universal, essentially? So, we know traditionalists would say the argument is offered on religious terms that God created man and then created women from Adam's rib.
Yep.
They are a piece of man, thus lesser than man.
Totally forgetting about Lilith.
Yes. Convenient.
God made man and woman, and then later he made Eve. What happened to that lady he made before? She left to be with demons because they respect her.
Sounds right.
History lesson.
So yeah, the whole religion, specifically Christianity, and you know, the whole origin story extends to other religions as well in terms of like Adam and Eve, and Lilith ends up being spoke of a lot in like Jewish tradition.
Yeah.
So the Adam's rib, and then also that we are the reason we fell from Eden. So we have a reason to feel shame. It is our fault that we are not in heaven, or that we're not in Eden, essentially. It is like we should forever, eternally pay for that.
Yeah.
No
See
forgiveness.
what happens when you try to learn stuff, women?
Can we talk about contradiction for a minute, though?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Forgiveness, right?
Yeah, that's his
whole thing.
Listen,
but we're
you can't
saying
be
that
comparing Jesus' actual teachings to today.
Eve was like, I'm just hungry.
Well, that's the whole thing. God and Jesus are two different people.
I know, but
God's a jerk.
But I'm saying Jesus, like, forgive
Jesus
her.
would have forgiven her.
That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, traditionalist defenses of male supremacy based on biological, deterministic reasoning have changed over time and proven remarkably adaptive and resilient. So that's something that is from the book. So everyone knows. Gerda said that.
Nice.
So good on you, traditionalist men, on your resiliency. And it's funny because as soon as the religious argument kind of started to get weakened in the 19th century, the traditionalist explanation of women's inferiority became scientific. Convenient.
Yeah.
So Darwinist theories started to come forward, and it basically reinforced all the beliefs of the traditionalist men. And honestly, there are likely traditionalist women as well, who basically reinforced this and said that what God said, or if we're not fully accepting that, now we have science. So the people who were doubting us because they were like, you're just talking about like mystical things, religion, that's not fact. He's adding science into this, so now it's fact, right? So Darwinist theories is basically like survival of the fittest. You're to procreate. The strong survive. And it basically just justifies oppression kind of across the board, especially in American society where we have capitalism. And we're like, all right, well, if you don't survive, it's your fault. You don't deserve to live, is the argument that Darwin would make. So yeah, it just further justified the patriarchy and further like reinforced a maternal role for women. So it's just kind of gross. And basically it was their argument for a very long time and pushed them into feeling like, well, if they can't fight for their rights to do these things, they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then you had other people, Sigmund Freud, arguing on scientific grounds. Basically saying that the normal human is male.
Yes. Oh, yes. And the female is castrated male.
Yes. By his definition, a deviant human being lacking a penis.
Yep.
Whose entire psychological structure supposedly centered on the struggle to compensate for this deficiency.
Penis envy.
Yes. And that female anatomy is destiny. We are less because that is what is destined to us. So yeah, really nice views that we have so far. I'm going to keep going. Stay with me. It's going to get better where I tell them they're all bad.
Okay.
So another claim they'll use is sexual asymmetry. So I defined that earlier. Well, it's been observed in all known human societies because men and women, if we're going to continue on in society and we have not yet developed science that will make babies for us, babies have to happen. There cannot be society without babies.
Sure.
It's just life.
Yeah.
To continue society, to have society, you need to make more society.
You have people.
And the only way to do that is through babies.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, men cannot birth children.
Yeah.
As of today, to my knowledge.
Unless you're trans.
Yes. They created natural sex differences, is essentially the argument, that determine the sexual division of labor. So in early societies and like all known societies, that is something that happens. So like men would do certain tasks, not universally, because universals aren't real. And then women would do certain tasks and there would be overlap, but they were designated to certain realms because of the fact that they were identified through sex. And you basically use religion and science combined together as a scapegoat so that no one can be blamed other than God or natural destiny for sexual inequality and male dominance, especially not men. Right?
Nope.
So, they even go as far to say that menstruation and menopause, even pregnancy, were regarded as so debilitating as diseased or abnormal states which incapacitated women and rendered them actually inferior. That was another
that's
fun
why they
anecdote.
sent us out in the woods for a week.
Yeah.
Just in case we wolf out or something. So we can't have a lady in the office. What if she gets her period and throws all the bombs everywhere?
Did you see the
Remember
debates
that?
where they all just scream at each other, but the women are just like, I don't understand.
Yeah, the women are like, I'm not allowed to do that.
Because then I'll be called hysterical. Yeah, so they also just see, like, the only thing a woman can do is have babies. So the women's chief goal in life is to have children, and it's our responsibility because we are the only ones who can continue society.
Yeah.
So the
You
expectation...
think that they would then value us as we are holding all the cards. We already have the means of production. It's the people. We own them. There's plenty of matriarchal societies. We need to go to them.
All I'm saying is, unfortunately, when the reality of trying to not, we might have Handmaid's Tale.
Yep.
So basically, and if you don't want to have a baby, that's like deviant behavior. You are not
God
a woman
forbid.
fulfilling your purpose, essentially. So a woman's maternal function is basically seen as a species necessity. We need to have babies.
We have a lot of people.
There's so many.
We don't really need that many more. Okay, I think we can all take a break.
Reason we don't need more.
All right, I think it's totally cool.
We don't need more.
When it's not a crisis, I promise.
You know what would solve global warming?
We live too long.
Stop having babies. Okay. But the idea is that, like, we could not have made it to the modern world without us having lots and lots of kids.
Yeah.
And then, basically, the expectation is that women have to devote most of their adult lives to childbearing and child rearing.
Yeah, because the men can't help. Who else is going to help these children? The men can't stay home and cook for them and clean and drive them to school. What?
No.
So it has to be the mom.
Yep. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Basically saying that, like, men, unless they're trans, cannot biologically have a baby.
Yeah.
So the pressure of reproduction is purely on us.
Yeah.
And they basically argue that that is a reason that we are lesser. So, like, the sexual division of labor based on biological differences is functional and just. And it also implies that forcing women to conceive would be just according to that framework.
That was by Gerda.
Yes. So another argument traditionalists would make is that men are dominant because they're physically stronger. We're weak. We're little. We can't pick stuff up and put it down. Our bones aren't as dense.
You know how many times that happens in my life? As someone who works on television. Like, let me carry that for you. I got it. And I will, like, hurt myself. Because I will not let you. Like,
yeah.
No.
People, I'm always, like, carrying a bunch of stuff downstairs to be with the kids, and I'm like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
Back up. Don't try to help me. I'm doing this for me.
Like, are you sure that's this many pounds? And I'm just like, thank you. And I walk away.
Be that many pounds in your face when I throw it. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, the argument's that they're
yes.
physically stronger, so basically it justifies that they would be given more power because they're stronger.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Power should be intelligence.
I agree with you. But also, so, like, let's talk science.
Okay.
Now we're gonna get to, like, why they're wrong.
Yes.
Yay.
Woo!
So if we're considering anthropology a scientific school of thought, which it is, the man the hunter explanation, basically the man is strong.
Man strong.
Yeah.
Woman to get buried.
And the idea that men have to provide for women, the argument behind that, according to anthropological evidence, has been disproven.
Nice.
Specifically concerning, like, hunter and gatherer societies throughout history. So in most of these societies, men would hunt big game.
Yeah.
And big game hunting was purely an auxiliary sport.
Yeah.
Meaning it was supplemental. Mm-hmm. It was not essential to survival. They did it extra sometimes.
Yeah.
And the main food supply was provided by gathering activities and small game hunting, which was done by women and children.
Or think about lionesses.
Yeah.
They're the ones going out and getting the food, and the husband, big hair, is like, I'm playing with the kids.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, like, yeah, so the women and children are the ones who do most of the providing in those societies.
We got tiny hands and we could sneak. That's my argument.
Yes. Also, it is basically, there's lots of examples of women having, like, really high rank in those kinds of societies, as well as, like, their existence is complementary. It's
Yeah.
not, no one is better or worse. And that's like the problem with the traditionalist view, is that they're going into this purely seeking the idea that they read that and they think, oh, well, men hunt big game.
That means they're important.
They're dominant. And women hunt small game. The main source of food and survival of these societies, weak. Because they have babies.
Yeah, because they also give birth to human beings.
They give birth while standing in the fields and then keep going.
Yeah.
They carry babies on their fronts and their backs
They
with the
catch
water
the stuff.
and like all the grocery bags, and like they go grocery shopping with a child
Yeah.
strapped to them.
Yeah. They hunt small game while being on their period in excruciating pain.
Because guess what happens if you don't work together? You die.
Yep.
So it's basically saying that they're complementary of each other, and that like there's not any situation where they're saying that one is better than the other. So like they read that and interpret it as one is less, one is more.
Yeah.
If you're reading it, it's literally just like, we need to do what we need to do to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women have to cohabitate in some way.
Yeah.
Human nature, survival, we work together. It does not mean you serve me.
Yeah.
I am big man strong now. No, it's not. Like, there's no reason to have your head go there.
Yeah.
So, feminist
We work together,
anthropologists,
strong community.
have recently challenged the many earlier generalizations, as I said, universals are trash, which found male dominance virtually universal in all known societies. It's not. It's basically a patriarchal assumption on the part of ethnographers, which is the scientific description of the customs of individual peoples and cultures.
Okay.
I didn't know. I Googled it, and here we are. And the investigators of those cultures. So, essentially, when they look at the data, feminist anthropologists look at that data, and they review it, they're basically like, is male dominance universal? And the answer is no. They have found societies where sexual asymmetry carries no connotation of dominance or subordination. It's just like, we're just doing what we need to survive. And then like you see how it's developed in specific, I think capitalism had a big role to play. Like the birth of consumer culture, specifically like when merchant culture began in like Italy way back when, is like really when money started to influence power. And then essentially you sold your daughters. They weren't people. Dowries began.
That was a long time. Yeah, merchant, yeah. Well, I mean, Lot tried to sell his daughters to the angels.
Yeah.
And they were the ones he
When
saved.
was the Bible written?
A long time ago.
Was it during merchant culture?
No.
Okay.
It was before that.
All I'm saying is,
They've been trying to sell ladies a long time, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, also what you said.
All I'm saying, I'm basically saying it's not universal. Like, it's not something that, like, you have to look at how you're interpreting and reading history, and that, like, just because you go into something, like, you also have to think about who's writing the history. Because specifically, for a very long time, last 150 years, we did not have the ability to go to school. Like, we had been taken from that. Like, we were very purposefully oppressed.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't know what happened, but we just men decided that like they were going to justify all this awful stuff with religion, have people have faith in that religion, make it so that people firmly believe that that's what we need to do. And then once religion became less of a trustworthy source, they gave science.
Well, they also gave you, like, the American, like, nuclear family, too.
Yep.
Like, they made it national as well.
It's all a
Nationalistic.
construct. I mean, so culture is a construct, but like,
Yeah.
it is all a construct. It's all done very intentionally, and we do not have to live within it.
It's trash.
It's trash.